This, ladies and gentlemen, is not focusing. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Malus fusca, common name Oregon crabapple. And this is related to apples. But look how tiny it is! What I like about fruits like this is it shows you how evolution can go in different paths. Because this does have similarities to the apple. It's got a stem that's kind of like the apple. It has a vague appearance kind of like an apple. And I'm imagining that the taste will also have a little bit of like an apple-y taste. But it's like so far from the apple that we would buy at a supermarket. Like there's like no flesh to this thing at all. Although they are very tiny, they were a popular food for Native Americans in the northwest part of the US and southwest part of Canada. They were eaten not just as a food source, but also a medicine, as a lot of the foods that I've talked about that were eaten by Native Americans are. There are two ways that people would eat this, though. Either they would eat it in this form, just like ripe, or they would eat it overripe, where they allow it to blend. So first I'm going to try it just as it is. Oh god, it's very sour. It's not bad, though. It's not like giving me dry mouth or anything. That's kind of what I was expecting. It's like a little warhead candy, but that sourness dissipates very quickly. So, yeah, that was not quite lemon, but near it. That was maybe like a 9 out of 10. The sweetness is a little hard to detect because of how strong they are, but it is sweet. I'd say a little bit less than a regular store-bought apple. Maybe a 3 out of 10 for this one on sweetness. It's a sort of thing where if I were like walking around the woods and I saw this, I would eat it like a candy. Because they're small, but they are very powerful. And there's little seeds in there, but I'm having trouble getting one out because they melt apart when you eat it. So I bit one of these in half, and you can see there's just like one little teeny... Oh, I dropped it. One tiny little seed in there. Let's see if I can get it out. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're like very tiny little flat seeds or if it just like came apart. I think they're tiny little flat seeds. I don't know if that's gonna focus properly, but you see that little tiny thing on my thumb? That is one of the seeds. And there's like a few little ones in there, but they're super, super tiny. And they're very flat too, so it's very easy to just like bite right through that and not even realize it. I wouldn't recommend eating a whole lot of this, just because apple seeds do contain trace amounts of cyanide. So yeah, this one I'm sure is also that way, but it's more difficult to get the seeds out. So eating a few, probably fine. Eating a ton, probably not a great idea. So there are a couple in here that are naturally bledded, like this one right here. If you look at that, you can see that it is squishy. So this one bledded just like on the tree, which, as I was reading, sometimes when Native Americans would eat this, they would eat them raw, but they would also let these ripen like to this level, like practically like rot, and then they're supposed to have more of a sweet flavor to it. So let's try it like that. It does. It's still a little bit tart. There's maybe like a 1 or a 2 on tartness. But the sweetness is higher. I say the sweetness is now at the level of an apple, like a 5 out of 10. And the flavor is pretty good. It's much milder. It's not like sour and sharp like the unripe ones are. It's more mellow and sweet. If I wanted something a little bit more powerful, I would go for it like unbledded, just like as it is. But if I wanted something to cook with, like make like a jam or an applesauce or something out of, the riper ones may be better for that just because they have a little bit more sweetness to them. So it depends on what you're interested in, and that makes sense that Native Americans would eat it both ways. These are also full of pectin, so if you wanted to thicken a jam, you can throw some of these into it to act as a thickening agent, and also add like a little bit of flavor to it as well. But yeah, pretty interesting to get to try that. I love getting to try different species of a fruit that is commonly eaten, like the apple. So that's really neat to see. And thanks again to Raymond for sending this to me, and thank you all for watching. Bye-bye. I want to give a special shout out to AltPod and Smarter Every Day. They are mega patrons over on patreon.com. Patreon is how this channel happens. It's how I can afford to do all the things that I do. So if you want to help me out by supporting the channel and getting some bonuses along the way, check out the description. I also have these shirts for sale. Those are in the description as well. See you next time. Bye.